Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is apparently Sue's homeless encampment. That's what it looks like. But this is Raven's Escape Crafts, and I am Susan, your host, or Sue, your host. So welcome, 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 or welcome back. I look like a little crazy cat lady today. So this is my witchy crazy cat lady edition. I guess I probably look like a crazy old cat lady all the time, so I guess it's kind of the theme of my channel. So if you're new here, well, if you're not new here, you're used to it. If not, welcome back. So I hope you all are doing well. Wanted to spend a little time doing a little video with you guys today. As always, we talk about what we've made. I made another witch hat. This one is like purple, white, orange, and green. These are been selling witch hats again like crazy, so we were working on them. I need to make soap one of these days. So yeah, let me get. Sorry, yes. How are you all doing? How are you all? I didn't get a video made this weekend because my kids were away and my husband and I just spent a relaxing weekend doing not a whole lot. And then yesterday my kids came home, and so then once they got home, we were with them, and they were showing us pictures of their trip and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, yeah, all I got done crochet-wise was I made this hat. And then I'm working on a hat and scarf set in this color. This is the hat. And here's the scarf I'm knitting to go along with the hat. I think it's like just funky. Like it's just a funky, fun set. And it's like super warm. It's the same yarn I used to make that ottoman last time I showed you. So that's what I've been working on. So I'm going to be knitting on my scarf while we chit chat. Just going to add to that crazy old cat lady with her blankie on her couch vibes, the witch hat on. I'm totally giving. I'm slaying my crazy old cat lady look. Oh, you know what? I got to laugh. I have got to laugh because if not, honestly, that's all I got. That's all I got some days. Anybody relate? So yeah, I haven't got a lot new. I'm still embroiled into the Lindsay Clancy trial. Oh, well, I guess crafting stuff. Let's talk crafting. So, projects I've been working on, I will have to show you at some point. My husband and I are working on, we're making some flags. They're not flags, they're banners. My husband does Star Wars stuff. He is, if anybody's familiar with Star Wars, he is in the Mandalorian Mercs, which are a group that is recognized by Disney as an official group, and basically they make their own. If you're familiar with the Mandalorian and Grogu, or the show, the movie, whatever, they make their own versions of Mandalorian armor to very strict standards. They're very, 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 very strict. Trust me. We went through years trying to get him approved to be in the group. You have to build the armor. It's sewing, heat gun, you're bending or 3D printing and painting and sanding and sewing and sewing and sewing and sewing and painting and sanding and trying to get lines out of things, and it's a lot. And they have a very strict specifications on what they need to do, and then you have to submit photos to get approved, and then if you change anything you have to resubmit photos to get them reapproved. It's a whole thing. So he's a member of this group, the Mandalorian Mercs, and our local, they have a local one in our area. They have them all over the country. I think all over the world, to be honest. I'm not sure though. But I know all over the country. If you hear my kids, we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, so, but he had an incident where with the new Mandalorian Grogu movie that had come out earlier this year, the group has been more popular than ever. More places want them there. More places are having them do events and things. And what they're running into, I think, more than anything, and again, this is not putting anybody down, but I think they've worn themselves, they've spread themselves a little thin. Let's just put it that way. And, where the group was being asked to be at certain things, not everybody's a Star Wars fan. Let's start there. And then, even when you get into the Star Wars world, you're a lot more familiar with, say, Darth Vader or Stormtroopers or whatever. Or Leia and Luke and Jar Jar Binks, or, what I mean? Where the Mandalorian was kind of it was Boba Fett or Jango Fett, and they were sort of an off, not popular character, where now, of course, the Mandalorian TV show came on, and and now the movie, it's exploded. And I can't think what kind of happened was, now they started getting invited to a lot more stuff that they weren't previously invited to, and the people in charge are not used to being so many events, so much stuff to do. Long story short, my husband went to an event, and if you're not from our area, a lot of you, I'm sure, have heard of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They had a huge event down in Philadelphia one weekend, okay? And the next weekend was a much smaller convention in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is where Lehigh Valley, which is where we're from. And what happened was, everybody ended up, there was a big, they got invited to the Philly one, Fan Expo down in Philly. And it was the official meetup for the Mandalorians of the whole East Coast. So, and they were hosting. So a lot of them went down to Philly and then spent the weekend in Philly. So the next weekend was the one in Allentown, and it was a big year for them. I forget how many years it was that they've been having it, but they had it over 2 days. Normally it's only one. They put a lot of money and effort into it. A whole bunch of the Star Wars groups said they were going to be there, but these are the same groups that were down at Philly, and nobody showed up. So the problem was, my husband showed up, and he was the only one from his group. There's 4 total groups that were supposed to be there that were Star Wars related. I'm sorry, I'm getting windy on this, but bear with me for another few minutes and we're done. 4 Star Wars groups were supposed to be there. Only one other one showed up, the Saber Guild. And then Todd was the only person that showed up from the Mandalorian Mercs, and nobody from the other 2 groups that were supposed to be there. Now, the problem is, they gave him this huge event space, and they had my husband is not in charge. He's not any of the leadership. So, he just is spread thin between my sickness and the kids and stuff. He just does not want to take on a leadership role at this point, because he doesn't feel like he could do it any justice. So he went, no props, no tables, nothing to put out, nothing at all. And nobody told him other people said they were going to be there. He was the only one that showed up. So he didn't know that nobody else was going to be there. He didn't know there was not going to be any props, or he would have offered to go get some from somebody. Then we found out that the props were not even close to here. They were like 2 hours away. But then we found out they maybe weren't. Nobody even knew where they were. So it was a mess. And then, typical to what happens anymore, I should be knitting. And so he brought it up to the people because he went Saturday. He was not going on Sunday. And he brought it up and said, hey, they're kind of pissed because they gave us this huge event space and we have nobody there. And it turned into this big fight. So if I've said before, my husband does a podcast with Ken. They do Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken here on YouTube. And so him and Ken decided, you know what, maybe it'd be good if we had some props, you know, personally that we could take to events and we won't run into this again, you know. So we're working on some props. Let's just put it that way. In fact, Ken's supposed to come up here, I think September 1st or September 2nd. He lives down near Atlantic City, which is not close to here, but he doesn't mind driving. So one of those days he's supposed to come up here and they're supposed to be working on some stuff. Don't mind my cough. I am, my allergies. Between allergies outside and I am allergic to 2 different things that I'm on for stuff. It's miserable. I am just constantly stuffy it on and off. But whatever, we're dealing with it. Yeah, I'm allergic to the stuff they use for my foot, and unfortunately, it is like one of the best things and works well for your foot. And then I am allergic to the one other thing they gave me. Ugh. But we're dealing with it. I'm not like anaphylactic or anything like that. It's just stuffy. So it's just annoying. I will sniffle and cough and my eyes are watery. So don't mind me. And I just apologize for it ahead of time. So we were working on trying to make banners for them to take with. We're looking for easy things that we can fold up and make small, because we don't have a ton of extra storage space, especially with with 2 teenagers and all of their crafting habits now, and my husband's other crafting habits, and a DJ business and my business, and we don't live in a humongous house in any way, shape, or form. We're running out of storage space. So we need something we can store relatively small. So we're working on that. And then it's pretty much the only, other than knitting and stuff. Oh, and I'm working on, I made a friend of mine a sweater a while ago. I have to, okay. Sorry, I'm getting messages. I have to look and see what that is then. But that can wait till the video's over. So, what was I saying? Oh, so I'm working on this. Oh, and I made my friend a sweater. It was the first sweater I ever made, and I did not know how to do sizing properly and things like that, and it kind of fit her when I gave it to her, and now it's stretched all the heck. So I got the yarn for that. I have to start, so that'll be my next project. You'll probably see me working on that, at least one. It's gonna take a hot minute, just because I have not, with my health problems, some days I have just not been able to do any kind of crafting or whatever. It just sucks. It's like, we've been having a lot of hot, humid days here, and we've been having a lot of rain on top of it. And like, if it's not hot and humid, it's raining, and all of that, it's like, just makes me so swollen and painful. I don't know. Oh, I wish they could figure out what's wrong with me. I have a pain management doctor appointment Tuesday this week at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that's going to be interesting. So tomorrow in my world, I don't know when I'll get this video. Hopefully I'll get this up today. It's Monday. So, what else? So, well, interestingly enough, so my kids went away for the weekend with their aunt and her wife, and with Lisa and Karen, and they had a really fun time. They stay up in Benezet, Pennsylvania, which is out in the middle of freaking nowhere. It is like north central Pennsylvania. I think it's Potter County. I'm not 100% sure. It's not close. It's like 3.5 hours away. But they have, it's elk country up there. They have tons of elk, and they go up there they stay in a little cabin. It's not roughing it that much because they have bathrooms, Wi-Fi, the whole nines. Except on Saturday night, I guess they were out trying to spot some elk, because I guess you see them the best like early in the morning, and then like right before it gets dark is the best times to go out and see them. And I guess they were out looking for elk, and like lightning started getting lightning, and by the time they got back to the cabins, it was pouring. And then when they got into the cabins, there was no lights. So it was just, they had no electricity. So I guess it was really dark up there from what they were saying. And the storm really rolled through. And I guess it was kind of creepy. So everybody went to bed really early on Saturday night because there was nothing to do. So that was their thing. And of course, there's no cell service up there, so you got to rely on the Wi-Fi. Well, if there's no power, there's no Wi-Fi. So, yeah, about that, right? And teenagers, no Wi-Fi, no electric. Yeah, they went to bed early, real early. But they had a blast. They went, miniature golfing, go-karts, bumper boats. They went on yesterday they went on what do they call it? Nature. Basically it's a pontoon boat, and then they go around this whole big dam for an hour looking for wildlife, and they have a park ranger there, and they tell you about all sorts of stuff. Of course, they went out to eat a bunch of times. They went elk hunting, not hunting, but elk spotting, let's call it. A bunch of times. I forget what else they did. They went hiking. They went hiking to a new trail in the park that they always go. They always go to Parker Dam up there, go swimming. But I guess last year a tornado went through up there, and so I thought this was interesting. So a tornado went through and knocked out a whole bunch of trees, like made a big swath through the forest. So instead of making a big deal about it, having to go through and try to clean up and take care of it, they just sort of pushed the trees off to the side and made it a new trail. Took advantage of what Mother Nature gave them. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty ingenious. Yeah, so it was good. As far as reading, I still have not. I am such a buck slump. I am so sorry. I think I don't know. I need a kickstart on reading again. I'm hoping once it starts getting a little cooler and my pain's a little better. It's just so hard to read when I'm in a lot of pain, and I have been in a ton of pain. Oh, we'll see what pain management says tomorrow. And then what we watched on TV was, wanted to recommend, if you have not watched, if you have Netflix, watch, if you need a good cry, let me start there. We watched Don't Say Good Luck. It's Adam Sandler directed it. It's got a lot of good people in it. His daughter plays the main character, Adam Sandler's daughter. I'm trying to think. There was like so many good people in it. It's a good one. I cried hard. It's a good one though. It's a good freaking movie. Ugh. It really hit home. It was a good movie. I loved it. So absolutely recommend. But if you need to go cry, do not watch. It's an Adam Sandler directed it, but it is not funny. It is not a funny movie. I will warn you of that. The worst part was we planned on watching a bunch of movies this weekend and we didn't. We ended up playing. My husband and I played some video games and just spent some time. Just a couple times we just watched some YouTube and stuff like that. We're gonna watch a whole bunch of movies, and yeah, it didn't happen. I mean, we had a nice weekend. We did. Saturday was nice. I did take a nap because I'm telling you, this weather and this pain is just, it's unreal. I'm like, I want to say I'm good, but like, I tell you, like, you know, I wish I just could get answers from doctors and figure out why I am in so much freaking pain all the time. But it's hard. It's hard being in pain all the time. You know, it's hard. So, all right, hold on. I'll be right back. I want to tell you about this day that my kids had today. Oh my goodness. All right, so, all right, so let's lighten things up a little bit. Well, first let's talk. I have a funny story to end this with, so that we have a good funny story. So, so Lindsay Clancy case. I have been reading. I'm like totally obsessed with this. Any of you guys been watching it? Like any of you? I guess today is the last day of testimony, and then hopefully closing arguments, and then it's going to the jury. This case, I've been reading so much about it online and watching other like opinions, and other psychiatrists talk about this and stuff like that, and it's just fascinating as heck to me. You know, it is such a divided case. Like, it is amazing how divided people are on this. Take away I mean, in no way am I diminishing the fact that 3 beautiful young children are no longer with us because of this, but like, wow. I mean, it's an interesting study in people and how the thoughts on people are. I don't know what it is. I have this like intense fascination about watching the way people interact and people deal with things and people's thoughts on stuff. I feel like we need to listen to other people and listen to other people's opinions and thoughts. And so, all right, we're going to get into it. Let's get into a little bit of Deep Thoughts. Deep Thoughts with Sue. This is my segment called Deep Thoughts with Sue. Now, let me start out with, I read a lot of books, and from something I read a while ago that I thought was interesting was that they say people who read a lot are more, they listen to people better. They get a better understanding of other people. And the reason for that, and it makes a lot of sense to me, is that you're constantly in somebody else's head. It doesn't matter what kind of story you're reading, it doesn't matter if it's a fantasy, a mystery, a, romance, thriller, you're in somebody else's head. You know what I mean? It's because somebody wrote this book, or nonfiction, biographies, nonfiction books, whatever, especially like biographies. Maybe not so much nonfiction, but even still, I mean, when you read a nonfiction book, it is factual but biased to one way or another, you know. As much as people try to make a non-biased book, you know, you are always going to research things in your way that your thought goes, you know. So every time you read a book, what's different between watching a movie or watching a TV show is that you get into somebody else's, you're literally in somebody else's head. Like, this is something coming from their brain. And I don't know if any of you have ever tried to write a book or write a story, a short story, a poem. But you put a little piece of you into everything you write. I mean, even an article, a factual article, you know what I mean? You're putting a little piece of yourself out into the world, whether it's just the way you word it compared to somebody else. So you spend a lot of time when you're reading books into somebody else's head, and you gain different perspectives on things, which is why I love to see when people read whatever it is. Again, it doesn't need to be any genre, including nonfiction, you know, because I do think it gives you a more understanding of people, you know, whether it's, you know, something like Stephen King, which is a thriller, which, you know, he does a lot of psychological thrillers and, you know, makes you think about stuff, or, you know, even, like I said, even just a romance or whatever. And that people who read a lot more books, regardless of what kind of books they are, or articles, or, you know, just read things in general, have a more understanding of other people. All right, so there's me off my soapbox. And so in that case, you know, it's like I'm reading all these. I like to, when I get into a subject, I like to read like this Lindsay Canty case. I like to see all sides of the thought patterns behind the case itself. You know what I mean? Obviously, she's admitted to doing it. Now, there's a huge bunch of people out there saying that they don't think she did it. They think she's the victim, that her husband did it. I don't believe that for 1 second. I know I said that in another video. I'm going to reiterate it again. There are still people out there, even with all the evidence they're presenting, that believe that it was the husband. And it is another, again, psychological perspective that I think the majority of people that I see are saying that are women. And I think it's a mix of, again, I'm sorry about my kids. I think it's a mix of, you know, women making men the bad guy all the time, which I don't like, because there are bad guys out there. There's tons of bad guys out there. Don't get me wrong. I am not defending. There are a lot of bad guys out there, but there's a lot of bad women out there too. I've seen it from both. I've seen both. Okay. So, and I also think there's a lot of people that have a really hard time believing a mom could unalive her children. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a big part of it. I think, you know, motherhood is not for everyone. Okay? I'm going to say that first off. It's not easy. It's not for everyone. Not everyone, you know, there's this huge push for women to, like, their life is complete when they have children. And that's not true. That's not true at all. You can have a wonderful life with no kids. To be honest with you, you know, I've known quite a few people who are older that never had children and are happier for it. You know, I mean, it's a choice. You can be happy either way. It's a lot, you know, I am a huge person in the right to choose everything. And one of those things is having kids. And if you choose not to, I don't blame you. It's not easy. It's not easy. And not everybody is equipped to handle kids. And not everybody wants kids, you know? I've, like I said, we have family that has never had kids, and you know what? They get to go travel. They've had money to do things. They have never been bound down by kids that they couldn't go do stuff. They've gone and had amazing, fun lives, that, a lot of times when you have kids, you don't get to do all that stuff. Or at least you're limited. And again, the payoff, for, I love having kids. I'm never regretted having my kids when I did. But it's not for everybody. It's just, this is just not for everybody. Yeah, so it's interesting to see the sides of this case. And then the people, women who've never had postpartum have no sympathy for her. And then people who have had postpartum have a lot of sympathy for her and want to say that it's the medical community's fault that she did this. I ride a line. I do. I'm going to say, look, I'm just going to come out and say it. I'll give you my opinion. And you can totally disagree with me on this. I did not have a lot of help with my kids, and I had to, no matter what was going on, I had to do it. I did not have a choice. They relied on me for everything. And when they were little, we're talking when they were little. And it didn't matter if I didn't feel like it today. It didn't matter if I didn't feel good today. It didn't matter if I didn't want to get out of bed. They needed me for their life. And I did what I had to do, So it's hard from my perspective, where she had a nanny, her parents came up all the time and helped her with the kids. Her in-laws came and helped her with the kids. Her husband was there all the time. My husband was very helpful. But, her husband worked from home. So if, she needed to do something for a few minutes, she could just pop him with the husband and go do something. I did not have that. My husband was at work. And then he came home and I went to work. It was not like that for either one of us. We just had to do what we had to do. And mental health, I didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? I don't know that I truly had postpartum depression, but the symptoms that she talks about, being tired, not being able to laugh, anxiety. I experienced all those just as because, and feeling disconnected. I didn't sleep. I was getting maybe 3, maybe 4 at the most hours of sleep a night. I felt disconnected as heck. I was so tired and I didn't even get to nap during the day. I was running on 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night for a long, long time. On the weekends, yes, do we get to sleep a little bit more? We took shifts sleeping and stuff like that. But, I had all those same feelings and, so it's hard. It's hard but it's interesting to watch the trials, to watch what they're talking about, and to see what, how people, it's more interesting to me to see how people are reacting to this trial in social media and on YouTube and stuff like that. it's interesting to watch how people react to stuff, you know? Ugh. It's interesting. I consider it like social experiment. Like, I do it a lot on Facebook. I make a lot of comments on some groups that, like, okay, so I ended up in a Crunchy Moms group, which I mean, I consider myself a little bit I consider myself scrunchy. Let's call it scrunchy, because crunchy is like full on. These are all terms if you guys don't know. Crunchy is like full on the new wave of young moms who only like everything is organic, no GMO, no plastics, no. There's a whole list. Obviously, no vaccines. You know, so I always have been a little more on the crunchy hippie side of things, where like nature supplements, you know what I mean? I don't like taking a lot of medications. Get out and touch grass, you know, spend some time in nature. That can heal a lot of things. Sit with yourself in peace. Try to find your inner self, peace, meditation. I've always been more the hippie, dippy side. Like, that's more what I'm used to. This whole new crunchy thing is a whole different ball game. You know, like, they buy all these products to be crunchy, where like, to me, crunchy was like using stuff. How do I want to say this? Like, canning and growing things and canning it and using things that are natural, not like having to buy only certain, you know, or like the perfect example is like, so we were talking about wipes, okay, like baby wipes. Now, I crochet these washcloths, right? So when the kids were little, and I got gifted a bunch of washcloths. So like when the kids were little, instead of like using a wipe every time they peed and stuff, I mean, I used a wet washcloth with a little soap on it, like, instead of a wipe, because wipes got expensive. Now, when they went number 2, poopy diaper, that was a different story. Then I used the wipes. But I used my washcloths for a lot of stuff. And of course, if they like, I mean, when they had a messy diaper, I mean, we went in the bathroom and washed up instead of using like 500 wipes. I mean, like, I went in, put them in the bathroom, and I used soap and water. I didn't use like 20 wipes on them, because like that was just a mess. And then, you know, those washcloths got used for that purpose, and that was what they got used for. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Crunchy to me is like, again, like, I use my cotton washcloths to wash dishes and things. I don't know. This whole new crunchy lifestyle is not my crunchy lifestyle. But like, I go on, I'm on there now. I don't know how I ended up on there, but like, you know, just watching these people flip out about everything, and then like, oh, this is good. Well, now all of a sudden they found this and that, and now that's not good anymore. And going against each other for all sorts of things. And like, you know, now the whole thing is like drinking raw milk, which I don't trust. I mean, I don't know how many of you grew up around cattle or dairy farms, but like, we have a lot of dairy farms in this area. I used to drive past dairy farms all over around here, and like, you know, I mean, cows lay in the dirt and their teats are the same place they poop and pee all the time. And I get that they wash them, and I get that I'm 100% agree that that's good. And I know they clean them off before they milk them, and you're not getting that in your milk. But it also means there could be things that get into milk, like bacteria, and I would prefer my milk pasteurized. You know what I'm saying? And like, again, I mean, you're just heating it up. You know, they just heat it up. I mean, it's not like they're changing anything about it. I don't understand why that's not crunchy. And then you don't get listeria and kill your, you know, and then people die from it. You know? And then, like, of course, I got into this girl was the other day. She's like, well, she's like, you should only be drinking raw milk from, she's like, you shouldn't be drinking milk from these big companies because, now, again, there's not really big companies. Like, these are small farms that all take their milk to a big company that pasteurizes it and sells it. Like, it's not like there's this mass, at least in my area, it's smaller farms that milk the cows and give it and sell it to a dairy that pasteurizes it and sells it in our stores. So it's milk from local farms, not some mass produced thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're just like, I don't understand. So, but then they argue like, well, these cows have had vaccines and antibiotics and hormones, and you know, I'm not feeding that to my kid. And I'm like, wait a minute. And they got really mad about this because I said, but you promote breast milk, which I 1,000%, if you can. Women have trouble with it. Breastfeed. I still think breast is best. You know, if you can. If you can't, there's no shame. But you mean none of these women who are breastfeeding have ever taken an antibiotic and never had a vaccine, including childhood vaccines, which is what these cows get. They get vaccines when they're calves. Has never taken a birth control pill, which is hormones. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are we questioning, like, we have to, like, make these, like, wild claims to the dairy industry when we're not doing the same to our moms? Like, and that's just an example of, I'm going to shut up now, just to let you guys go. But that's just one of the, like, things that drives me nuts, because it's like that with everything. Like, they freak out about the littlest thing, and I'm like, yeah, but do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's dangerous. This is how I'm going to finish this. There's a big thing anymore, and I'm sure it was always kind of like this, but now it's like, this is the way it is, and I'm right, and like, this is the best, and I mean, I've dealt with this, you know, your whole life, like, and then that's not always the case, and that's a dangerous thing to be. And now you have social media, which, like, you can say, like, oh, this is the only kind you should use. And, like, all these people are backing up, like, yeah, right. Dude, like, just live your stinking life. And, like, you worry about every little thing in the world, you're going to make yourself freaking nuts. And then you're going to end up like Lindsay Clancy on going to all these doctors saying, I don't feel right. I'm so overwhelmed and so stressed. Now, obviously, the end of what happened with her is not what's going to happen with everybody, because that's very, very rare. But what I'm saying is, like, you see, like, the more they're talking to things, she was getting herself overwhelmed. She was trying to be this perfect mom. She was trying to do everything right. She was trying to da-da-da-da-da for her kids and do all these things for them for perfect. You can't be a perfect person. You can't be a perfect mom. You can't be a perfect wife. You cannot be a perfect, anybody's perfect thing. Nobody's perfect in the world. None of us are freaking perfect. And to try to hold yourself to that standard, you're gonna end up on medication, and you're gonna end up making yourself crazy. And can't we just get back to like crunchy and crunchy old school, which means like peace, love, and natural and free will, and you know what I mean? Can't the world just get back to that? That is my ending thing today. That is my, oh my God, I didn't even tell you guys. Oh my God, it's going to be an hour long. Okay, so now we're done with that. I am so sorry. Oh, all right. Last but not least, funny story. So, my poor kids have been, I've told you, they worked all summer for the most part until early August. And then in early August, they started band camp. And they have been at school, except for 1 week after school let out. They have been at school every single week, except Fridays. All day, Monday through Thursday, they have been at school all summer long. Couple of days off here and there, but all the time. So, yeah. So, yeah. So today, so of course they went away over the weekend. And of course they were like, they come back Sunday, have to go to school Monday. So they were kind of like, oh, that's too much. So last night, of course, they get home at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And of course we ate, we talked to them a while, we ate dinner. And then of course it was like getting stuff together for school tomorrow. You know, oh, we gotta go to school tomorrow. I don't blame them. They worked their butts off all summer. So, of course, they get up this morning, back to the normal routine, knock, everybody come down, make breakfast, make like lunch. They leave. I'm like, oh, I hope they have a good day, first day at school. About 15, 20 minutes later, I get a call from my husband. I'm like, what's going on? I said, is everything okay? He goes, oh my God, you will not believe what just happened. I said, what? He says, there's a bomb scare at school, first day of school. They're not even letting the kids within a block of the school. The high school had a bomb threat called in. And so they weren't even allowed to go in for the first day of school. They never touched foot in the school. They stood outside from 7:20 when they got there until about 8, a little after 8. And then they had them all walk down to the football stadium. And they had them there until 8:45. And then they told them just to go home. Oh, so they never even got to have the first day of school. My kids took an Uber home. They were home by 9 o'clock. And yeah. That was their morning. That was their first day of school. Oh my goodness. Ugh. So somebody apparently didn't want to start school today. I get it. But my kids were like, you gotta be kidding me. So they've been upstairs laughing and giggling the rest of the day. And then, of course, they're supposed to go back for band at 3 o'clock, which they're like, no, that's not going to happen. I said, no, I can't drive them back. My husband can't take off work to drive them back. They're just going to miss it. They haven't missed yet, so he's just going to have to deal with it. I'll go tomorrow. Because tomorrow night they have a performance. So hopefully they have school tomorrow, because I have to go to the doctor, and we have to drop them off, come back and get me, then drive home, and then my husband can go to work. Oh, yes, it is interesting. So, with that, now that I've talked your ear off for the better part of an hour, I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you do something that makes you happy today. I hope you do something that makes you happy every day. I hope that all of you, each and every one of you, is doing well. And if not, I send you out good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Take all the vibes, take all the vibes, take them, take them, take them. I'm sending you all out good vibes, good thoughts. Make yourself smile today. Do something nice for yourself. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you listening to me. It means the world to me. And like I always say, choose love every day. Thank you, everybody. Bye.